SBRForum videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 7 in college football, and right now we're talking with Troy West from allplayswin.com, who's coming off of another big winning week at his service, allplayswin.com. He keeps reminding us that he went 1-3 in the NFL on Sunday. He's downplaying the fact that he had 8 straight winning days in a row before that, and a positive 30-unit day in college football on Saturday. Troy, thanks for being back with us this week.
Hey, I appreciate it, Pete. You know, we try to stay humble. We know the haters are out there, and they want to see winners. We went 7-2 in college football last week, so we're really starting to elevate our game. The percentages are really starting to pick up back into the mid-60s. Really encourage people to come check it out, Pete, at allplayswin.com. We're great people, and we pick winners, and over the long course of the season, you're going to win. I guarantee you that. I guarantee it. Come take a look. We're going to win long term. I feel like we got some winners again, Pete, for the show.
All right, you picked 3 games to discuss this week. The first one, Oregon State at Washington State. Now, this one, kind of an interesting one again. Oregon State is a 1-point road underdog, and Oregon State, very, very good team, and they are off a bye week, which helps a lot with injury. So normally, I guess I'd be leaning towards them. But Washington State, team with usually a good, it's tough to go on the road and get a win in Washington State. And, they crushed Cal last week. They beat USC on the road already. They played Auburn tight. This is not a pushover team by any means. And, they're a near pick-em line at home. So what do you like here, Troy?
You know, Pete, this is an interesting game, and I can honestly say in all my years of service, I don't think I've ever bet Washington State, and this is a team I'm very familiar with. You saw it 2 weeks ago. One of our biggest plays of the year was Stanford. Stanford demolished Washington State. This week, and this week probably only, I'm going with the Washington State Cougars to win this game.
Wow.
They're finally home in Martin Stadium, Pullman, Washington, one of the hardest, trickiest places to play. It's a very small town, very small city. Oregon State's a tough place to play. And Oregon State, to me, just been all over the place all year, as we've talked about, Pete, with injuries. They've pulled off some big wins. They've played teams that aren't very good and barely won. San Diego State's a classic example. They hardly got that win on the road. This Cougar team is finally clicking. They put up 40-plus points on Cal. Their quarterback threw for 500 yards. Connor Holiday is playing great. He's healthy. It's a tricky place to play. And I think the Cougars finally have something to cheer about. If they get a couple more wins, they're going to their first bowl game in a long time. And this is one of those games that's circled that they have to win if they want to get there. And I think it's a very winnable game. They're hardly ever favored at home. I think they're favored for a reason. I think the Cougars get it done on Saturday and beat the Oregon State Beavers.
Troy West, you really confound me. I mean, but I trust you completely, but we covered an Oregon State game a while ago, and I wanted to bet against Oregon State. I think it was against Utah, right? I thought Utah was going to be a great bet. Oregon State I think that was a road game as well. Oregon State was dealing with a ton of injuries, but you liked Oregon State in that one. You gave your reasons. You wound up being right. It turned out that Oregon State just had too much speed for Utah, and even despite the injuries, they played phenomenally well. Here they are, coming off of a bye, so presumably they're going to be even more healthy, getting guys back with the same powerful offense that they had, in that game to get the win and cover, and yet now you're taking Washington State.
Pete, I'm going to put this out, and I'm going to say this very confidently. I cover the Pac-12 better than probably anybody in the country, and I will put that to my frickin' grave. I know this conference really well. This is a tough place to play, and they have not had anything to cheer about in quite some time. This is a team coming home with 4 W's. They're ready to pick up their 5th W. They haven't been at home now for a few weeks. This is a pretty good Cougar team. Mike Leach has them playing great football. I think they'll be prepared. I think talent for talent, Oregon State probably has a little more talent, but this Washington State team is playing too good, and they're playing at home in front of what I think is going to be an electric crowd and a tough place to play. I think Washington State, they're a very, very small favorite. They will win this football game Saturday, Pete.
All right, look, all I'm saying, I want to think out loud here, right? I mean, when you made that Oregon State pick, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, and they wound up winning and covering, and, you said you love betting on Mike Riley, whatever, I made a mental note. I was like, all right, I think Oregon State is going to be an undervalued team for the rest of the season. And, of course, I love Mike Riley. They obviously have the talent, but now you're going against me. What about Mike Riley? He's such a great coach, right? You love to bet on him.
Yeah, what's the old saying, Pete? I'm not betting against Oregon State. I'm betting Washington State. That's kind of my theory on this one. I don't think Oregon State's a bad team. I just think they're running into trouble because this is a very tough place to play, especially a team that has not had anything to cheer about. I can't reiterate that enough. This team has been dismal over the last few years. They're finally clicking under Mike Leach's offense, and I just think they get it done this week. So nothing against Mike Riley. I just don't think there's a lot of teams this year in the Pac-12 that would go in and beat the Cougars, especially the bottom half of the Pac-12 where I think Oregon State lies.
All right, well, when it comes to the Pac-12, I do trust you absolutely implicitly. Troy West from allplayswin.com. Liking Washington State, -1. Thanks, Troy.